So this deck might look kind of familiar to you. This is a updated version of a deck we used to play a good bit of. I'm still messing around with some of the numbers. Actually, now that I think I'm just gonna have the second Spire over the fourth. Now that I have the second Emperor, I've been messing with this deck a lot off stream. This is something that I think I finally got a figure out of off stream on Sunday. Yeah, I think Sunday. And again, this deck might look kind of familiar. This is a Goryo shell that we were messing around with when Faithless Looting was first unbanned. And the big breakthrough to this idea is that Kaalia the Vast is weirdly just a really nice tool in this archetype, where when you think of Kaalia as having haste, because you get to play 4 copies of Arena of Glory and also 4 copies of Goryo's Vengeance, Kaalia usually has haste in this deck, and this is a way for you to just put an Atraxa into play, tapped and attacking, put a Griselbrand into play, tapped and attacking, and you get to keep those in play. Now, when we were playing this deck, it had one big issue as compared to Esper Goryos. In my opinion, the biggest issue was that you would get yourself in a situation really often where you would do your thing. You would Goryos or you would Atraxa, but you just don't win the game, and you aren't able to draw into like relevant 0 mana interaction to stop your opponent from winning the game. Because in Esper Goryos, you have Force of Negation and sometimes Subtlety that you're able to dig for and just hold up to stop your opponent from doing anything. In this shell, you really only had access to Solitude, which just doesn't stop enough decks for you to reliably be able to win the game with the Goryo's plan. That was the biggest issue with the shell before. And then, so I was thinking a little bit more about the archetype, and then I also kind of realized that compared to the Esper Goryo shell, this just isn't a very good Ephemerate deck. We were playing Ephemerate plus Solitudes, and I really just did not like those cards. Like Kaalia keeps the thing in permanently. Keeping your big creature in play permanently seems to matter less when you're not just winning the game immediately. And so I started to kind of mess around with like a non-Ephemerate version, and then I realized that really the card that ties the room together here is Fury of the Horde. So instead of trying to Ephemerate to keep your big thing into play and then like slowly grind out, instead you are trying to mostly with Griselbrand, but a little bit with Atraxa, cast Fury of the Heart for free to take extra combat steps to win the game immediately. And this notably, of course, has the really big advantage of giving your deck access to turn 2 wins. If you can turn 2 Goryos or Griselbrand, either with Looting or Thoughtseize, or I guess Surveil Land, you're very likely to just be able to chain 2 Fury. It only takes 2 Fury of the Hordes to kill your opponent, because you hit them for 7, Fury of the Horde, hit them for 7, Fury of the Horde, hit them again. And this access to the kill immediately when you Goryos is, I think, the big solution to the Mardu problem of, again, not being able to interact with your opponent. And then in sideboard games, like against Boros specifically, you're able to kind of move away from the Fury of the Hordes and pivot into a more controlling game plan if that's a fine thing for your strategy or for your matchup. And then one thing you might ask yourself, like, is that really the only advantage to play Mardu over Esper or Grixis? But the biggest advantage is getting to play Phlage in your Arena of Glory looting deck. We played several decks that have Arena of Glory and looting, but when you have access to Phlage, it's just like Phlage looting is so powerful. And then you already want to play 4 arenas for your Fear of Missing Outs and for your Kaalias. FOMO is really nice in this deck. It's not super easy to get Delirium. I think it's a little bit easier than it used to be, but Fear of Missing Out, when you get that extra combat step, can also just be really, really, really potent. The extra combat step also with Kaalia from either Fury or Fear of Missing Out. A lot of times what you do is you like Kaalia, put Atraxa into play, take an extra combat step on top Kaalia, attack, put Griselbrand into play. And that's been a really, really nice game plan. But I guess I digress a little bit. But like the Phlage is just so insane in this archetype. Like your opponents are playing Discord spells and counter spells, and they're stopping your combo game plan, and you just Phlage them. It's just so nice. And against Boros, you just Phlage them, which is really, really, really nice. Let's see what else. So on Kaalia a little bit again. This is something that is, you may not have seen this. This is a little bit older tech, but it is tried and true. We have tried a lot of Kaalia Goryos. Kaalia is a card that you might think is just nonsense, unimpressive, but it just does end up being a really nice tool to not only keep your big things in play, but to get around graveyard hate. And it's also like weirdly your best thing to Goryos a lot of the time, where just like if you have these really strong draws with looting, you can discard Kaalia and a big thing, and then you can just Goryos and you keep your big thing and play on turn 2, even if you can't chain together your Fury of the Hordes. So really, I know really into this build. Is performing really well on my off-stream testing. I have changed the list a little bit. I've been changing the numbers. I had like 4 Kaalia, and then I had 4 Phlage and 0 Spyros, and I also had some Spyros earlier. And I ended up just not liking 4 Phlage, and I think I just realized that I probably don't want the 4th Thalia with all the with the. I also only had 1 Emperor of Bones for a little bit, and then I ended up adding the 2nd Emperor, and then I think once I added the 2nd Emperor, I can go down to Kaalia, was the attitude I had this morning. So I'll get that change in the Mux field ready for y'all. I'm not sure if this is the right 75, but. Opponents on a Mold to 6 on the play here. Helping with the 38. I've been messing around with Phoenix Dredge and managed to snag the trophy last night with this list. Nice. Yeah, let me take a leak. So you're on Blood Crypts. We're just full 3 colors. You are playing 2 Dark Blast. Flame Jab is a cool addition. I am not. I think I would still play Thug over Dark Blast, but it's obviously up for debate. Let's go ahead and cast the Looting turn 1. I think the possibility of the turn 2 kill is just a little too important. And looks like we are going to have access to it. My opponent is playing blue, or probably playing blue, so we may want to take a turn to Thoughtseize. Putting to 1 with first strike is good. Oh, right, because you kill with the Kaalia. Sorry, I'm not super familiar with Kaalia, Master of Cruelties. Yeah, I'm going to. Sorry, I should have surveilled this turn, but I realized that, you know, if my opponent is playing the Simic Ritual deck, they're just gonna have so much. They're gonna have so much permission that I am gonna probably want to. Oh, okay, not a Harbinger. I'm gonna want to Thoughtseize the turn I cast the Goryos. Zabas with the 30. Thank you. Welcome back. The Beseiju for not a mountain seems a little scary, but yeah, it looks pretty good overall. Glad you got the trophy. I like the Flame Jab. Oh no, Ice Fang has Death Touch. That is unfortunately a big problemo here. The one thing that's kind of nice is that they probably, or I don't know, maybe they won't attack. Okay, there's a Force of Negation. Dude, running into like the Death Touching Ice Fang on turn 3 is like just one of these weird, super unlikely things I feel like we keep running into. Okay, we'll take the Force, and then we'll plan to Goryo's the Griselbrand end of turn, I think. As I live in Texas, I want to adjust the allegations that you're not a person, but instead a bunch of barbecue that ate a person who went to eat it and took its skin as a suit. Well, maybe that was me at one point, but I have gone vegetarian over the last year or so. Yeah, thankfully they just attack. Yeah, we'll let them choose their Birthing Ritual card before we cast the Goryos. You can pinning a Kodo so they lose Death Touch. Yeah, I know, but we just don't want to do this main phase, right? Because if we go for the main phase Goryos, then we don't have any Solitudes in the deck to dig for. Wouldn't put out the 54 months. Thank you, welcome back. Glad you're still liking the stream. Was it better to Goryos to block Agent and gain 7? No, we're gonna try to win their freaking game. They grab a Subtlety. Hopefully they didn't top deck a Flare. It looks like they didn't. Yeah, but our deck is really good at just winning the game when you untap, and turns out that's a nice thing to do. All right, so I have a Arena of Glory to. Okay, we know our opponent has Subtlety in their hand, so we don't want to. We don't want to cast the Kaalia. Now, if I cast Fear of Missing Out, do we think that they're going to Subtlety the Fear of Missing Out? They probably will. That doesn't mean I shouldn't. Now, again, we have 4 Fury of the Hordes in the deck. Let me see how likely we are to draw one off the next 7. So we have 39 cards in our deck here. Our sample size is going to be 7, and then we have 4 successes. So we are about 53% to hit off the next look, which is a little less than ideal. Something we could do, yeah, let's just attack, because we can find, if we find Faithless Looting, then we can Goryo's Atraxa to get 10 more looks. With Arena, yes. Okay, my opponent has, so I don't know if you're saying the Arena for the Kaalia, but my opponent has Subtlety, so I can't just cast the Kaalia. Am I going to keep my hair long for the wedding? I think I'm going to cut it, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to cut it, and I don't know how short. But it also, since I'm going on this, like, you know, the honeymoon afterwards, not dealing with the longer hair will be nice, and... Okay, I don't find a Faithless Looting, and I don't find a Fury of the Horde. So, a little unlucky. I already have my planes in the graveyard. Let's cast the Fear of Missing Out, and if this resolves, then we do get to keep going. They wisely don't let it resolve. So we are gonna need to go off next turn. Yeah, pretty unlucky to not find either, but just kind of par for the course on this stream, maybe. How many Goryos do I have? I have at least one. Then I've got 3 Kaalias. Only 1 Goryos, okay. So I have 2 Atraxas, so I can discard 1 Atraxa. And then 1 Kaalia for sure to Goryos. We'll discard a Phlage. I think I want to keep the Griselbrand in my hand to Kaalia back into play. I want to keep 1 Kaalia in my hand. I can discard another one. Oh no, I meant to get the upkeep stop. Ah! Sorry. Maybe too many pieces moving here. Like I'm done on board. I can Goryo's Atraxa to block, but I've given my opponent an extra draw step here unnecessarily. I know 2 of my opponent's cards, unless they pitch the Oculus. Okay, I know 1 of my opponent's card. Okay, 1. Or do I take the looting? No, I don't think I take the looting. I take 2 FOMOs. Seems like blocking a Ice Fang is better than blocking a Subtlety. You discard Emrakul and clean up, then Goryo's Atraxa and clean up, then Fury of the Horde. Yeah, Fury is a sorcery, but that would work otherwise. They only have 1 card in their hand. It is not a flare. So we'll see if they like draw something off the Birthing Ritual, but we should be good to go here despite a little bit of shakiness. Okay, they endurance me. That's okay because we have the Kaalia. Although there is an issue with Kaalia that you don't get to untap the creature that you put into play with Kaalia. That being said, I think that might be okay if we just get to put this Atraxa into play this turn. Not too often you run into this many really effective flying blockers, I guess. Take the Thoughtseize? I guess we take instant, creature. I'm not going to be able to cast the Thoughtseize, but a lot of times I like to just take the worst card if I can't cast it so I can thin the deck some. That makes sense. Although I might cast the Thoughtseize next turn. Tangent with the 19 months. Hope you're doing well. All that stuff. Thank you for their continued support, my friend. Very weird first game against Simic Ritual, as games against Simic Ritual often are. And usually when you Fury the Horde, you get to untap the Kaalia and put something else big into play for the win, but not usually this many flying blockers. 5, 8, 11, 12, 13. So if this is exactly an Oculus, we lose. Otherwise, we should be in good shape. Discard 1, 2, 3, 5. I want to be able to Goryos this Kaalia, so I want to keep one of my 2 Griselbrands in hand. Guess I'll discard an Emperor. Yeah, so Fury only works on Atraxa if Fury only works on the creatures that have attack this turn. So the problem with Kaalia is it puts it into play tapped and attacking. Usually just untapping the Kaalia and then putting like another big thing into play is totally fine and works. Oh no, they did hit the Oculus. Ah! Devastating. Pretty unlucky game, also like not hitting the looting and not hitting the Fury of the Horde on that one turn, but whatever. That is an issue with the deck. Okay, so this is mostly a counterspell matchup, which is you're mostly just trying to grind through it, try to fetch around Harbinger of the Tides. I'm not that interested in these prismatic endings. I guess they do hit the birthing rituals and the Oculuses kind of well. Could we prismatic ending the manifest? Oh, sorry, I missed that was just a legal play. I could have played that one better. Yeah, we'll keep the endings, I think, over like something like Fire Magic. Wear Tear is better. I mean, Wear Tear just hits Birthing Ritual, hits Birthing Ritual a little bit better, but this clears Death Touching Ice Fangs. This kills in play Oculi. I don't know that Wear Tear is better. Yeah, I think Fire Magic might be better because it clears the Death Touching. Seems like a very tough matchup too. They've got main deck endurances. Are the Orvars for creativity? It's for Grixis Reanimator, which is pretty popular. Maybe should be Surgicals instead, but I've been having fun with the Orvars. They're like super duper weak to it. Did you draw into FOMO, or is FOMO Goryo an option to keep attacking? I had FOMO in my hand, but I don't think I didn't have Goryos. I just hasted the Kaalia that turn. Okay, we'll keep this. Emperor Bones, I think, is also like a really good tool against them, where it just like they don't have a lot of removal, so it's just super likely to resolve here on turn 2. Okay, that's a nice one. I guess we'll play around the around Dismember. I was thinking that I would maybe want to target the Griselbrand now to make them have the endurance now, but the thing is that we kind of just make them have endurance next turn anyways. So counter magic not relevant here. It's really just endurance. But I think we should just see if the Emperor Bones trigger resolves and then go from there. I don't think we need to do anything else. Okay, does resolves. We're going to want to Thoughtseize before we cast our Fury so that we don't get counterspelled as easily, of course. Although we get to look at 21 more cards, which is a pretty high chance of seeing a second Fury. Right? And they concede the game. Wonder if they have any like spicy tech in their hand that they didn't want me to see. That I guess doesn't make that much sense. It's weird. I mean, did they even see Fury of the Horde last game? Maybe they did. Okay, we're going to game 3. Yeah, we could have had the turn 2 win last game 1, but just them being blue deck couldn't go for it. But they did have the Atraxa. Okay, cool. Alright, hard to mulligan this hand, so let's not. They're on a mulligan themselves, down to 6. It does seem like Emperor of Bones is like just so good because it seems kind of easy to stick, and then it seems hard for them to get it off the field. Now I do want to be getting basic Swamp here, but I think I have to get Blood Crypt so I can play the Emperor next turn off the arena. They have a Force of Negation, a Subtlety, and a Flare of Denial. Let's take the Flare. I think that if they Subtlety one of my 2 Emperor of Bones, that's like super okay. They put a Wooded Foothills in their graveyard when they surveil. And they play a Windswept Heath. Alright, let's get that basic Swamp here. They surveil again. They put Coiling Oracle into the graveyard, and then the Emperor resolves. I guess we'll go ahead and target the Oracle. Again, maybe I'm a little too scared of Harbinger. I'm gonna go ahead and attack with the Emperor of Bones so that if they have an endurance, then I can adapt the Emperor of Bones and not get blown out by the block. And then I'll play the Seasoned Pyromancer main phase 2. I think I'll be discarding both of these spells. Maybe they'll end up subtletying this, and that'll be fine. Because we find an Atraxa, we don't quite have a way to get it into the graveyard anymore since we've cast our Spyro. But just being really ahead on board against Simic tends to be a good plan. Okay. Yeah, we could have tried to go for the Surveil. I think it's just better to cast the Spyro. Yeah, just Simic struggles so much when they just get behind on board like this. So we only have 2 Emperors, so it's good that we just drew Emperors in games 2 and 3, and that card seems pretty dang good against them. This seems like a hand we should keep on the draw and just discard Griselbrand to ham size. We're gonna try to go for the turn 3 win. With Surveil lands, we should be pretty likely to hit. Another blue deck though. Blue-white energy. So if I had another land, I might Thoughtseize myself. Although I guess them being a blue deck, we just kind of have the luxury of trying to Thoughtseize them next turn. Unless we don't draw a land, then maybe it is better to try to Surveil. Kind of close. They've got a pretty fast start here. They only have 2 cards left. So yeah, if we don't draw the land, we'll Surveil. And if we do draw the land, we get to Thoughtseize. Great. So we're going to take a pretty big hit. Kaalia, Felia. Let's leave them with the Felia. They're going to gain a lot of life and hit me for a lot of damage. As long as they don't go... Are they going to go over 28? This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if they play the Felia in response to this trigger, they do get the Kitty's Blessing, and they don't take that play. I don't know if that's something that was really something they'd think about here. I am at a very low life total for it being turn 3, so don't have that much life to play with, but the fact that we already have 1 Fury of the Horde is pretty helpful. Thoughtseize you? No. Oh yeah, I discarded Griselbrand to hand size on the draw. If I had the other land, we would have gone for the turn 2 by Thoughtseizing ourselves, but we didn't have the second land in our hand at the time. Okay, so we are going to need to cast 3 Fury of the Hordes to win this game. I did not draw another one this time, but I do have 14 more draws before I brick. I want to maybe read in. All right, second combat step. Yeah, they do say reading. We need to cast 2 more. We get at least like 21 more draws, although we have to hit 1 before we hit the second. Okay, miss. There's 1. So we're going to need to hit on the last one. Now, usually dealing 21 damage is enough, but for some reason, the most aggressive 1-drops in the format also gain a ton of life. So we have 2 hits and 27. I think we're even like slightly in favor. Maybe it's slightly. Let's calculator it. We have 2 more Fury of the Hordes. There are 27 cards in the deck. Sample size is 7. Success is 2. We're 45%, so a little less than a coin flip. Again, usually you would have more life and they would have less life. But we hit! Casino sounds everywhere. Can't do this in Esper. Although you might be winning this game anyways if you're Esper. Okay, so we're in the draw against blue-white energy. I've been seeing blue-white energy pop up more and more. I was kind of expecting the blue-white deck would take over the Boros build. Like, I feel like it's better in a lot of ways. And Boros seems to be falling off a little bit, so we'll see. I've been playing against blue-white a lot more. It's kind of small and anecdotal. Now, their graveyard hate they can have Rest in Peace, and they can have Thraben Charm as their graveyard hate. Now, against Mike, oh, the mic is being weird. Audio issues. Maybe someone at the end of the stream try to remind me to order a new audio processor, audio interface. Oh, it's just far away. Okay. Yeah, I don't know about Fire Magic against Blue White is the thing. Like, it is like they don't have Ragavan, they don't have Ajani, they don't have Seasoned Pyromancer, they do have Kaalia, they do have Felia. I guess it can kill Felia if you have 3 mana, but it's not so good at doing it on the draw. I think we're just gonna cut the Spyros for 2 more endings here. Well, we don't got lands, so I don't think we got to keep. I think on 6 on the draw, we can keep this one. Might get lucky with a Surveil land and 2. With 6 hits, that happens more often than less. What did they bring in? There's a good chance they're bringing in some copies of Rest in Peace / Draven Charm. Okay, let's go ahead and Prismatic Ending the Pride. I think it's a, maybe against Boros, I wouldn't. But, they are a deck that plays Mockingbird, so sometimes you get to like just strand Mockingbirds in their hand. They play Rest in Peace will feel a little silly. Lavinia, okay. It's an interesting one. I guess we get to Phlage that next turn, probably. Ooh, a little bit of value there. Any thoughts on Chance for Glory in this? It seems like it doesn't make any sense. Like the whole idea is that you don't have like a bunch of extra mana when you're popping off usually, and so like this deck kind of works because Fury costs 0 and you don't need the extra mana. Maybe I should Phlage the Pride. Yeah, so I guess maybe I'm missing something with that suggestion. I'd love to hear what I'm missing if I am. Yeah, let's just Phlage the Pride, and then this might just be like an escape Phlage kind of game. I think Lavinia means Fire Magic is good. Yeah, I think so too. Could reassess if we go to game 3. Okay, Rest in Peace. This is one problem with the Phlage backup plan is like almost like more so Rest in Peace than the artifact-based Graveyard Hate and Endurance, because it's good that Phlage pressures the graveyard, but this is pretty tough. We do have 3 more Prismatic Endings to draw into. Yeah, I think I'm actually just gonna hold up the Emperor Adapt, which is a little bit weird, but a 4/4 is kind of king on this board. Could just chill for a turn. We also have, of course, Kaalia that just lets us get around Rest in Peace if we can draw that in a big thing. And then we get to keep the big thing in play, and we don't get to care as much about the Lavinia. What audio device you use? I use a Focusrite. I do seem to have a good amount of issues with it, too. Lavinia stops warp? No. Lavinia doesn't affect your own stuff. Or I guess, sorry. It also doesn't affect creature spells, unless it's a creature spell that was spent for no mana. Right, let's just go and make a 4/4. Cast a Looting. 1, 2. Not very helpful. We may be going to game 3. Maybe we can cut the Fury of the Hordes and then like bring in the Fire Magics, and then if we bring in the Fire Magics, we can play like a more controlling game plan and not be so worried about having to win the game immediately. Yeah, that's what it is, Vapo. Did you get a different one that you recommend? I guess if I draw Looting into Kaalia, big thing, we could still get out of this. Maybe. Got the Gen 4, okay. Hopefully that works. Okay, so let's I think cut all the Fury of the Hordes, bring in the Fire Magics. Play at least the first Spyro. They are a Solitude deck, so cutting Emperor feels like a little bit doable. think just going down a little bit on graveyard stuff is fine. And where to ever use for Fury of the Horde? Yes. And you're on the play though. Fire Magic is the card you want on the draw. I think that, to me, that sounds like overthinking it a little bit. Y'all Thoughtseizing yourselves here? I think we're supposed to. Well, maybe not with our sideboard plan of no Furies. Where to for? We have four Prismatic Endings. We would have got the turn 2 Atraxa, but kind of unclear how good that even is here. So I wonder if I surveil a big thing or looting a big thing in the yard next turn. I wonder if they keep a card on top. I wonder if they would Solitude the Emperor in response to the target, and then I could Goryos in response. Okay, so if we don't surveil something big into the yard, which of course we're not super likely to, we at least have the FOMO. Do I want to keep the looting in my hand? I think I'll just get the value, then play the FOMO. Acidic with the 37 months. Hope you're doing well. Onions have layers. Blood Moon has layers. Hell yeah. So maybe they picked up a Thraben Charm, which we can actually do okay against here. They play a Felly. We know that they have 2 Solitudes in their hand, so what we're hoping happens is we go target Griselbrand with Emperor of Bones, and then they Solitude the Emperor in response, then we can Goryos the Griselbrand. Now it's possible that they have found a Quantum Riddler, and they might want to like go Riddler target, and then we block here, and maybe they Solitude the FOMO. Okay, that didn't happen. A land will be really nice to like really like force that action that I was just talking about. I think that they will Solitude the Emperor if I target here, right? I think that seems to be standard practice. So that way the Griselbrand is just exiled. And then they didn't do it, so maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But we do get to just leave up the activation. We cast this looting. Very weird. And so we could just try to find a land to double activate the Emperor of Bones. Solitude in response to Adapt. Well, the thing is, like, I guess maybe they would only Solitude if I had the 4th land, but now we just get to play this like weird waiting game, I guess. Oh, sorry, I should have probably discarded the Kaalia. I don't know. It's a little bit close. I think Goryos is better because of this. Well, they have the Solitudes to get rid of the Griselbrand. And if this happens, then I just get to adapt again in response to the Solitude, don't I? Maybe they'll double Solitude, and then that's totally fine also. Okay, they found a Riddler. How much does this complicate things? At least a little bit. Felia can force the action. Okay, that's true, but now that if they Felia my Emperor of Bones, they're not felling the Riddler. But also, if they force the action at this point, I do just have the Atraxa in the yard, so I can still Goryos. Very interesting spot. Like I'm not convinced that I've made correct decisions here, but we've had a lot of interesting decisions to make. Kind of like my whole life. Kind of like my whole life. Again, Acidic, 37 months. Dr. Lubafu, 2 of the best usernames in the chat, back to back, and Asturiel, the 2 years. Thank you all for coming back and staying back. Okay, so they main phase of Solitude. They're targeting the Emperor Bones. Okay, I'm going to have my hand forced and adapt. Do they have an Ephemerate? Maybe I should have just responded to the cast of Solitude by adapting the Emperor of Bones. What did they pitch? They pitched a Witch Enchanter, so we know that they still have a Solitude in their hand. And then they attack with the Felia. Will they Solitude the fear of missing out so that their Felia gets to stay alive, or are they just okay losing it? It seems like Solituding would be a pretty nice play because you'd also get to draw an extra card off the Riddler. Respawn the castles to play for sure. I think so. I mean, if they just don't have the Ephemerate, then it is better, but I agree they probably don't make this line if they don't have the Ephemerate. Okay, so when I cast this Goryos, I'm going to gain instant type in the yard and lose creature. But maybe I can get still another combat step with the FOMO, but with like a flashback looting. Although they might just Solitude my Atraxa, or they'll probably just Solitude my Atraxa. We definitely want, I think, Griselbrand to go with the Kaalia that I have. Then FOMO as my enchantment. I did not hit a land. A Thoughtseize and a Fire Magic. Okay, so let's go ahead and lead on. Well, maybe I want to kick Fire Magic. Maybe I just want to flashback the looting so I can double trigger the FOMO. Although, if they just have the white card for the other Solitude, like we suspect, Fire Magic blocks Ephemerate. Yeah, I mean it blocks Ephemerate on the Solitude, which I don't know how much we care about Ephemerate on the Solitude. There's a good chance they target the Riddler after they just use their Solitude. Let's just attack with the Atraxa here. I think we just play this one a little bit slower and then try to go Kaalia, Griselbrand next turn after a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize the FOMO into your turn of FOMO. I think it would be better to flashback the looting to do that. But we know they have a Solitude in their hand. We don't know that they have a white card. No third archive. I think you should play the third archive. So they probably will target the Solitude now, I would guess. And then now we kick the Fire Magic. FOMO's already turned on. No, so we added an instant, but then we lost creature. Okay, they Spell Pierce the Fire Magic, which doesn't seem to matter all that much. Like, obviously, it would be nice to maybe Delirious the FOMO. Thoughtseize plus Haste FOMO would have turned on 2 FOMOs. Yeah, but we know our opponent has Solitude in our hand. I don't know how many times I can say this. This didn't seem like a very good line, right? We didn't know that if they have a white card or not. All right, so they have a Solitude, they have a Spell Pierce. Neither card seems to do anything, and they should be dead. They did not have the white card. Kaalia is just so good. Like, she was good last time we played this deck. She just gets around Graveyard Hate. She just puts the damn thing into play. You already want to play 4 Arena of Glories. It's just like, just weirdly works so well. She's like the best thing to Goryos a lot of the time. Feels like a pump by opponent. Flickering Riddler is way better. I mean, they only get to draw 1 card if they flicker the Riddler. And they didn't have the luxury of knowing with the Fire Magic. Feels like an understandable line they took. Or so they knew about Fire Magic. Okay, maybe that was less okay. All right. We are 2-0. This deck was performing really well off stream, and I tried a lot of different versions, just like the Teamer deck from yesterday. Feeling pretty good. Yeah, Goryo's Obsidian was always really cool. Turn 1 Shivan Reef is... Do we think that this is Storm? So I'm going to do this so we could Looting and Surveil next turn and Thoughtseize turn 1. Okay, probably should have guessed it was just Affinity. Their hand seems pretty weak. Let's take the Rebuke. They did multi-6. So we're going to play the Crating. I might just Prismatic Ending the plating so that I can like Looting plus Goryos next turn and then keep their Affinity reduced. Why Reef? We've played Reef in their deck. It's just a good mana fixer. You tap it for colorless most of the time. It always enters untapped. It's really not that complicated. They play the Emissary, they play an Opal. They do need another artifact if they want to have Metalcraft for the Opal here. They have Thoughtcast, which is castable. And then their other card is a mystery card. They cast the Thoughtcast. I guess let's just cast the Seasoned Pyromancer here. And then as far as like what we discard, it's a little bit weird, right? I think I'm actually discard Phlage Marsh Flats. Our opponent almost definitely has main deck Graveyard Hate, and with Arena of Glory in play and enough cards to escape the Phlage, this kind of forces them to main phase the Graveyard Hate, and then we're free to loot the Griselbrand into the yard. I was the Xerus player. When you thought of the turn, I ephemerate attack with Kaalia. If you want to concentrate on the game, no worries. I thought it was fine. I think I'm probably making that line every time too, the one that you took. So they get a Springleaf Drum instead of Graveyard Hate, which is unexpected, I guess. Well, it's possible they drew it. I mean, they might just think they need the mana, and they might be right about that. If we do draw, oh, by the way, if we just do draw the land for Phlage, we could just Fury of the Horde the Phlage, which is it's 12 plus another 9 plus the Seasoned Pyromancer damage. So we might just have lethal, like all natural with Phlage. Yeah, likewise, Wad. So they do play a Kappa Cannoneer, so we can still force the chump block on the Phlage at the very least with the Fury. If we do draw the land, we don't draw the land. We'll cast Faithless Looting. We do draw Goryos, which is probably better than the land anyways. Discard 1/2. Goryo's the brand. Being at 14 is a little bit unfortunate. 15 has a lot more life points here. So it is definitely possible here to like accidentally kill ourselves if we draw 7 and then we miss on the Fury of the Horde. Although maybe it's even just like maybe that's even like maybe I just should not ever be drawing another 7 here. Maybe I'm just so likely to win the game next turn. So like why would I ever draw the 7? I don't know. I think I'm gonna draw 7, but I could see this just being silly. I did find the Fury of the Horde, so we win here, but I don't know. Like they could draw Tormod's Crypt. They could have a really crazy turn with Pinnacle Emissary and Kappa Cannoneer. It might have been right not to do anything else, but like it always feels way better to like take control in your own hands here. Yeah, they can kill us in that spot, although it's really unlikely. Okay, so in these kind of matchups, it's like a little bit unclear, I think, if you want to be staying in on like the Fury plan or like kind of pivot into more of a control deck. I could definitely see. I think with them having all like Pinnacle Emissary tokens to block the Griselbrand, I think that the Fury of the Horde plan is probably going to be just bad. Let me also trim a Phlage, trim an Emperor. And then I think, you know, we also have, like, I guess the Stony Silences aren't too good, but I think we can just be a little bit more in on, like, Kaalia, have a big life linker. I think we'll play one less Spyro. Charmaw is okay, but we have Wear Tear for Saga, so I don't think Charmaw is nearly as important. Orvar is for the Grixis Reanimator matchup. The turn was funny. People are not prepared for multiple Gristle combats. Yeah, the Fury has been really just a really perfect tool for this show. Dropping to 14 is fine. Dropping to 7 is sus, but how could you not find it by then? Well, you just can brick in the stack, which is, you know, fun. Fun. They're just dead to Phlage. Yeah, they're dead to Phlage, but again, they could kill me, and then they could have had top deck counter magic. It was a weird spot. Obviously, the line we took worked out. I wasn't convinced it was right. All right, mulligan, there's no lander on the draw. So I'm going to keep this hand. I do think I really want to be in on Kaalia post board. So I think I'm just going to put back the looting, which is a little bit weird, since we have Griselbrand in our hand. But it's a sideboard game. There's a good chance my opponent's got a good amount of graveyard hate post board. Okay, they have one card left in their hand after all this. Maybe it's Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah, it is Kappa Cannoneer if they're not cracking the baubles, probably. Maybe it's Thought Monitor. Oh, pretty scary. And it seems like we chose really wrong on our decision to not keep this Faithless Looting. think it was okay with the Wear Tear and the Kaalia in our hand, but we might just be going to game 3. We're down to 15. Again, this is Ward 4, so we can't tear it. Arena of Glory is the best card to see on top. Graveyard of Phlage. I also... Should they crack the baubles here? Yes. Will they? Probably not. Okay, there we go. They only cracked 1. They looked at me? You're supposed to crack both baubles like every single time here. I just don't understand. So attacking me for 9 down to 6. They have our Metallic Rebuke up also, so we're probably dead here. They still have the Rebuke up. Probably going to game 3. Yeah, this is the other breakout deck I mentioned yesterday. I think we're dead to any artifact, right? We're at 9 and they have 8, so not a good place to be, especially if they crack the bauble. They also have a Rebuke in their hand, so like top decking the Arena for Kaalia isn't even really an out. Let's just go to game 3. Don't tell Reed Duke. Oh yeah, the Spear also. Okay, you can tell Reed. So Joe's pretty wrong on the mulligan. Again, just post board, like they usually do have a lot of graveyard hate, so wasn't necessarily the worst ever, but certainly didn't work out. Kind of a weird. So this hand is very likely going to be a keep. I'm gonna go ahead and Thoughtseize turn 1. I think I'm gonna do it off of the. Okay, if I do it off Godless Shrine, then I can kill an Urza Saga if I don't draw a second land. And the problem with that is I have 4 copies of Arena of Glory, which turn from really good top decks into bad top decks. Okay, we'll take the bauble. They do have the Urza Saga. Why no Fire Magic post board? Maybe you could play 1 or 2, but I think for the most part, it's over sideboarding with what we're doing. Okay, good. Drew a land. Let me know what you would cut if you feel like you could make room for the Fire Magic. So there's the Saga. Their hand is 2 Pinnacle Emissaries, 2 Rebukes, and 2 Mystery cards. Now they don't have Rebuke up at the moment. I'm going to FOMO without playing the Arena first so that I could draw a white source for Wear Tear, which we don't do. So they do have a Rebuke up for the Goryos. All right, let's cast the Looting, because if I find a white source, I can Wear Tear this. If we find an untapped white source, I'm pretty sure I said, right? So I think we're going to Goryos the Atraxa after they make a Saga token. We do also get to attack for 4. Maybe that doesn't make as much sense. I think it's okay. We would have had lethal if they didn't have the Rebuke up, but okay. Yeah, let's just get an Atraxa trigger for next turn. We have this blocker in play also, so they don't get to attack the construct. So take untap Painless Lands, FOMO, Goryos. I guess I can't take Griselbrand and Kaalia, so we'll take another Griselbrand so that if my opponent does just immediately hate my graveyard, we can just set up for another Goryos. And then next turn, like if they play graveyard hate, we can play Stony, and then we can have Goryos up. But they probably will try to keep a Rebuke up too. So I was kind of hoping to find a third Thoughtseize, but not quite that lucky. Is Stony Silence a better option than Fire Magic versus current build? Yeah, so obviously a big part of playing Goryos is that playing a card like Stony Silence against Affinity, beyond just turning off the opals and turning off the drums and turning off the cranial platings, and this says 2 mana you have no graveyard hate. 2 mana your graveyard hate does not work, which is like just the fact that it does that in addition to turning off the mana, that ends up being a really, really important dynamic. Can't you just pay for Rebuke? So I can't go Stony Silence plus Goryos plus pay for Rebuke because they're going to get Graveyard Hate here. Kind of likely to be a Tormod's Crypt. I haven't been seeing as many Lanterns. It's like more so they want the zeros for the Pinnacle Emissaries. But I think they're going to get Graveyard Hate here. I can't just go cast Goryos pay because they have Graveyard Hate. So I need to play the Stony Silence first. And I can play Stony Silence and then pay, but then they get to exile my graveyard. They get a Mox Opal, not Graveyard Hate, so maybe we can just pay. They play one of the 2 Pinnacle Emissaries. They have 2 Rebukes, 1 Emissary, 3 Mystery cards in their hand. Now, all these flying blockers are going to be a pretty big issue. They play Otawara, which is interesting. They play a 2-mana Thought Monitor. That's a freebie. I'll take a free Atraxa in the graveyard. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Atraxa in the graveyard, 7 life, and a dead construct. Deal. Great. Damn good deal. So they lose both of their warp tokens. Now, I'm sad I don't have a Kaalia. Maybe I should have just grabbed the Kaalia. Although, how could I have thought that they wouldn't have gotten Graveyard Hate? That's okay. I just found another Kaalia off this. Okay, so we do find the Kaalia on the first hit. Then we'll take sorcery, enchantment, land, instant. Pretty good pile here. Maybe too many cards. And then they're going to chump with both of their creatures here, probably. Maybe they keep the Thought Monitor. Would Fire Magic be better than Phlage? I think you need some Phlages, but yeah, I think having at least the first Fire Magic for these kind of boards is good. Although what you want to do is you want to just set up for like Arena Kaalia. So next turn we're going to haste Kaalia, and if they counter with just Goryos. And then you just keep the big things in play. Why not target FOMO since she can attack again anyways? Oh, sorry, I just forgot that Vigilance Atraxa. Vigilance FOMO is a combo. Oopsie. Okay. I got 10 cards in my hand. I'm going to discard this Arid Mesa for sure. I'm going to discard the second FOMO. I need to keep this in hand for the Griselbrand. I need to keep this in hand to Goryo's the Kaalia. It seems a little bit silly to discard the Stony Silence with the Weird Turn. I guess I'll just discard Pending. It'd be nice if we could keep it. They only let you keep 7 cards in your hand. It's not enough. It's not enough cards. So we know that they still have 1 Rebuke. We don't know any of their other cards. They play a Pinnacle Emissary. Again, the plan is to haste Kaalia, then they're going to counter it, then we get to Goryo's the Kaalia. We'll see if that plan survives the night here. Have you got any work done on the Winodolus with Bowmaster? Not yet. The Emperor of Bones was also really important, so you could bring back your Angrass Marauders. So if I untap my FOMO, untap the Kaalia, they are just gonna go block here, and then I can't untap the Griselbrand, so we'll just keep the Griselbrand in play. I could untap it next turn. Could untap it twice next turn even. So this is going to be a pretty interesting game where my opponents, they're going to play another Pinnacle Emissary from Warp, and then they're just going to make a ton of blockers for my Griselbrand. But what I'm going to get to do is I'm going to attack with Griselbrand 3 times a turn and kill their stuff. So I think that's going to be a winning formula. Again, I boarded out my Fury of the Hordes in this matchup to play a more controlling game post board. I could probably find a third FOMO next turn, actually. Oh, there's one in the yard, and then there's... Okay, there's only one left in the deck, so maybe that's not the most likely. Yeah, because like I think keeping in the Fury of the Hordes against all the drone tokens doesn't make that much sense. And then the plan is you just like keep the big things and play with Kaalia. I didn't board in the Fire Magics. I think that was a mistake. I had already boarded in like 7 cards, and I was thinking that my opponent might get Graveyard Hate at some point in the match, which has not happened. I was a little bit focused in playing around Graveyard Hate, which again my opponent was not interested in acquiring at any point in this game. Are there many too many humans that make non-human tokens? I noticed that Peter Parker does this. There are not many, or at least none that even really come to mind. I'm sure there are some. All I'm gonna say is these drones can't block Mr. Negative. You know, maybe I'm totally wrong about Mr. Negative. I'm sure that. Okay, we did find this the extra FOMO. I'm sure that somebody will try it out. I don't think that someone will necessarily be me. Can we wear the Kappa and win on the ground? I guess that was a winning line. Although if they had another rebuke, then I can't. That doesn't win. I'm winning in the air here through a rebuke. I get to attack 3 times with this Griselbrand. But this does seem to be the better line. Why not tear a token, pin a token, attack for lethal? This is also a lethal attack. You know, what's the problem? I get to attack with this Griselbrand 3 times. They have 2 blockers. There are 4. This is more value. Also, just, I don't know. Yeah, we also get to gain 21 in addition to killing our opponent. Yeah, 4 times. So it looks like we are 3-0 in our first league of the day. We'll get a little trophy prediction going. Yeah, Fury of the Horde at home, huh? I mean, this hand can discard a Griselbrand on turn 2, so probably keep on the play. What do you think the gaps in the deck are? I don't know. I've been winning a lot. Graveyard Hate, but you have answers to Graveyard Hate and Kaalia. Not drawing the right pieces all the time. Any important takeaways you would do? Anything different from buying my home? I mean, we had just a really good real estate agent, and we got really lucky. So I don't think I've got any big advice, honestly. Besides, you're gonna need to get lucky to some extent. So I did 2-0 Amulet yesterday. If we find a Goryo's, we're very likely to do that here. So we can find Goryo's, Kaalia, Emperor Bones. All will give me a turn 4 win. Goryo's is the only thing that's going to give me a turn 3 win, which might just be the only thing that's fast enough here. We also might die right now. It's possible, though not super likely since they don't have a second Amulet. Although they're playing as another Growth Chamber, which is interesting. What deck would I pick with my knowledge for a Pro Tour this weekend? Well, if I was prepping for the Pro Tour, I would have spent a lot of time trying to master Amulet Titan. I'm not qualified for this Pro Tour, so I didn't spend a lot of time doing that. But yeah, no, I think Amulet's the best deck. I don't think it's all that complicated. If I wasn't gonna play Amulet, I probably would be on a Reanimator build of some kind. Maybe we are going to die this turn. Probably not, right? So Thoughtseize is a pretty good pickup. I think I'm just gonna go for a Surveil this turn. I don't want to discard any card in my hand. And then I want Kaalia to be live, right? So which is why I don't want to discard the second Griselbrand. I guess I should have got black white Surveil, because now Emperor Bones isn't live. Sorry. Okay, top deck could explore. 3 explores. They do play the Growth Chamber. They float 2 mana. This is very bad news. They drew something. Is it Scape Shift? I'm dead, right? Yeah, this is just the loop. I wonder if Wizards of the Coast knows Amulet of Vigor 4 lands is a deterministic kill. Alright, down a game. So interested in these 8 cards. Probably not bringing all 3 Charmaws in. I'm gonna cut these 5 though. Good to be bringing all these red cards in. We're at 20 red cards. Let's trade this. I think it might be 22. All right, on the play. Well, keeping this could turn 2 win. Tough to die in turn 3 after the Thoughtseize. Put inside a mold of 6 here. Anyone's caught lots of bans over the years, so you lost the 3 extra lands and Field of the Dead. Was there another one? The Grazer does mean I have to Fury of the Horde a 3rd time to kill them on turn 2 here. No block is interesting. Oh, Once Upon a Time. But yeah, Summer Bloom. I can't remember the name of that one ever. Ring. Okay, Ring, sure. The 4 bans? Is there another one? I'm not disputing. I'm just trying to recall. You know, we're here winning on turn 2. We don't have the worst Amulet matchup. All right, now they block. Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Ring, you know, not. Also, Field of Dead. I guess Field of Dead was a pretty Amulet focused card. All right, turn 2. All right, on the draw for game 3. I might want to bring in another pending on the draw. Maybe we can go down on the red cards a little bit. All right, game 2. Was originally Cloud Post, Summer Bloom, Once Upon a Time. Well, Cloud Post was like banned in Modern before it was ever legal, right? So I don't know if you want to count something like Cloud Post. A lot of tap lands, but we do have 2 reasonable pieces of interaction plus looting on the draw. I think that's okay. Cloud Piece was legal. Okay, cool. I didn't know it was legal in the first Modern tournament. I thought it was always banned. I primarily play Modern. Could Amulet do it in Legacy? Wasteland is really insanely good against them. So is Force of Will. They have exposed the Amulet here. Let's go ahead and not die on turn 2. So let's cast the Prismatic Ending. Maybe Graveyard 3rd looting here for a little bit of value. Oh, they exposed a second Amulet here. They bounce the Growth Chamber. They play a Spelunking. So now I guess if I draw Wear Tear, I can kill both of these, which is something. Oh, damn it! Sorry, that's a pretty big punt to play the Arena. They have 2 Titans and another Spelunking. I guess I'll take a Titan and try to find another Thoughtseize. Right now they're 1 mana short of casting the Titan. They find a Grazer or a Lotus Bloom, they can cast one this turn and be in really good shape. So now a Wear Tear does not stop them from casting the Titan, so we need Thoughtseize. Okay, so if I had cast the Looting, would I have found a big thing? I would have found a big thing. So it feels pretty bad. We probably just should be winning the game this turn, but the Wear Tear again is not really doing anything. I shouldn't be dead this turn though. It's crazy that a fused Wear Tear does nothing on this board. Alright, 3-1. Keep this on the play. I would try the second Looting to try to go off. Yeah, I guess that makes more sense than holding up the useless Wear Tear. It's a good call. Okay, so our opponent has... We could take this Awless Dust and stop them from being able to imprint to Ugin's Labyrinth. I think that's probably a little worse than just taking the Mind Stone. Was casting second Looting Dick for season option. Yeah, I didn't play that game very well, despite complaining a lot. I could definitely feel the tilt flowing a little bit. Okay, we got Thoughtseize bugged here. Yeah, we should have cast the second Thoughtseize. Although a Thoughtseize wouldn't have done it because they top deck Scape Shift. So, although maybe it was drawn off the Spelunking. So, I don't know. So they have Warping Whale Mystery card now. Interesting that they're considering taking the Looting. Alright, not a bad top deck. Probably just grabbing basic Swamp. Keeping our life total higher is relevant, although we are already down to 14, which is... Oh, sorry. I need another red. Sorry, chatters. I'd like to issue a formal apology for the last 2 games of Magic. I will do better. I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. Let's keep Amulet legal another round. Alright, so they hit me for 2. They've got Warping Whale. They've got 2 other mystery cards. They've got Expedition Map here. One of the cards is an Eldrazi Temple that they play. And they pass. So now if I'm casting this Seasoned Pyromancer, I'm discarding Goryo's Vengeance. So I think we are not going to do that. We're going to try to probably chump block with the FOMO this time and discard the other card and try to draw into a land for the Goryos. Do you really think Amulet should go? So I think that the deck survives if Amulet's banned. I think the card Amulet of Vigor is too powerful for Modern. I think that it is the most efficient and powerful mana generating artifact in the history of Modern. It is a 1 mana tutorable artifact that regularly makes 20 mana over the course of the game. It's difficult to interact with because it's a 1 mana generic cost card. You have Spelunking and can still win the game turn 3 with Spelunking. I think Amulet is clearly the strongest card in the deck and enables turn 2 kills, and it's a deck that can kill on turn 2 where the only really effective sideboard cards against it are 3 mana. You know, I've made these arguments a lot before and been yelled at a lot before, but these are usually my arguments. The second Tron piece here. So I drew the 3rd land now, which is a little bit weird. Maybe I should just escape the Phlage this turn. This way I can for sure Goryo's Griselbrand next turn. I think that's fine with me. Oh no, I have the Swamp, so I can't do that. Okay, back to Spyroing then. I think if there just was like effective 1 or 2 mana sideboard cards that any deck could play, I think that's better. But when a deck regularly kills turn 3 and can kill turn 2, and they just like aren't really effective sideboard cards for it that are that fast, I think it's a big problem. There's some stuff obviously, but it just stinks when you're a deck that doesn't have access to counter magic. And similar logic ban for Birthing Pod, they'll keep printing good lands. Oh, break Aemon in half. Well, Birthing Pod's pretty... It's like... Birthing Pod is worse than Birthing Ritual at this point, for whatever that's worth. I don't know how much that's worth. Damping Sphere. The problem is Damping Sphere just is not a good sideboard card against Titan. Like, it does slow them down, but because of Beseiju... if Beseiju didn't exist, then Damping Sphere would be that sideboard card, but the presence of Beseiju is just so gnarly. Okay, I guess let's go for it here. Again, we played this game pretty bad. Might win anyways. Maybe this should ban Beseiju? Maybe. Maybe. We might get to Goryo as a second thing here. So we can Goryo's Kaalia. We don't have a Atraxa for the Kaalia. Let's just go and draw 7 more. We have another Griselbrand. I could haste a FOMO and then use that to get another attack step here. I already just have enough though, so maybe I'm overthinking this some. Guess what I don't have is that many red cards. I mean, I just have enough red cards to kill with this Fury. And then, like, I think going in on the FOMO could be bad maybe if they have a Dismember, although they probably should have already Dismembered if they had it, right? Yeah, that's true. We're going to get one of these whaled. So, got a Fury again. They have another whale. It's pretty nuts. So we need to draw a FOMO or a Fury. The next 7. We have 2 more Furies, and I think we have 2 more FOMOs. Okay, we found a Fury, but we don't have the 3rd red card. This is the first time I've bricked on the red cards. I can Goryo's 1 Phlage, which is not quite lethal. Is there anything else we can do? Not really, right? I know, yeah, I know. I'm going to play a land this turn. Is it better to Goryo's Phlage this turn and then cast Phlage next turn? That way we don't lose the top deck graveyard hate? Or is it better to save the Goryos? I guess I have Emperor. Goryo's for Atraxa. Well, there's no Atraxa in the yard. That makes it tough. Or in more hand. No Faithless Looting in the grave. No Faithless Looting, no. I don't think looting just trying to find the extra red card would be right, but it would be an option. Would have had lethal if they didn't counter the whale. Okay, so we're also being up to 5 is pretty relevant, so we're not just dead to the Allah's Dust. So I don't think we'll be able to cast a Thoughtseize. Might as well pending the 1/1. That's true. I guess I didn't think about it, but it's true. Unlikely to matter a lot. We'll see what happens. Are we to Doll's Dust? No, I'm at 5. Why not pinning the Scion? Oh, this is a 1/1 Scion? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I totally thought this was an 0-1. Oh, well, I played this game awfully. My 1. I guess I would say my 1 awful match. I didn't play last match very well either. Okay. Another winnable game, sadly. Sorry to the believers. I think I'm cutting all the Phlages. Could maybe keep one in. Probably don't want to cut all the Prismatic Endings either, so I have some outs to like Karn Bridge. Maybe like keep 2 in and also hit some maps. Yeah, they only look I guess it's Spawn and Scion. They only look exactly the same. Warping Well, too good. You're the Horde in your Kaalia tech. Yeah, it's been really strong. It just gives the deck the ability to win immediately as fast as turn 2, while still maintaining the looting arena Phlage stuff and the like Kaalia getting around graveyard hate that's been so good. They can keep this on the play. Not that good against a pretty big range of their draws, like just the Natty Tron stuff. But if they have Expedition Map, Mindstone, Graveyard Hate, the Stony Silence gets them really good. Then we do have a looting to do some digging. What if it was that a phone? My phone, yeah, it folds open. It's pretty nice. Okay, so we can graveyard the Kaalia, which means that if we draw Goryos and we also draw a big thing, we can just Goryos the Kaalia. When I did the Twitch Rivals for Arena, they sent us folds, but I already had the same mod model. These are really good for planes. You get to open it and play Balatro. It's just really nice. They do have the turn 1 map. Got a lot of dead cards in our hand, but we got a looting and maybe a looting flashback to smooth things out. They play an Urza's Mine and a Mindstone, also shut down. Silence! Okay, so we find the Goryos. We don't have the thing to put into play with the Kaalia yet, though. Let me discard 1, 2, or maybe I could discard a Fury. I think it's okay, because if my opponent has a K command, I'll really just want to cast the Kaalia. What they do have is Natty Tron. And they could cast Devourer of Destinies, that we know is one of their cards to get rid of Stony Silence. They chose not to because they also have Karn into Glaring Fleshraker. Bring up to the trifold if it comes out? Probably not. I'm not someone that likes to get a new phone model if I'm happy with my current one. We do have a window to draw a big creature, though, since they can't Tormod's Crypt me. Aren't those like $2,000? Mine wasn't nearly that much. I got it a long time ago, though, like over a year. I don't even think I even paid for it because I had the upgrade available. Yeah, cage would be pretty good. Although we could pending the cage, I guess. They get a flute, which they can't cast. And they can cast a map. So their hand is Devourer, Flute, Mystery card. Looking for a big creature. Get another look here. It's nice that we could, draw it for turn. We don't draw it for turn. Well, last 2 matches lost to user error, I think, more than skill issue. We could still maybe get out of this depending on what they do with the flute. Like if they go flute name Goryos, then we could be fine. Although they probably should just Karn for Graveyard Hate, right? Yeah, okay. So let's go to new league. Sorry for the last 2 matches. Gonna make some mistakes on the stream. You can expect apology videos on YouTube later today.